Welcome, Bear fans. We're at the Bearcast up here, and we're at our midweek practice. This is Thursday night before our first playoff game, Jason. We'll talk a little bit about last week and winning another district championship down at Welton. How many does that make for the
district champions? That is actually 20. Okay. 20 district, 29 conference, and district. At 9 conference from 1923 through 1991. Yeah. West Branch was the final EIHC conference champion.
Yes, they were, and that would have been in
91.
91, yes, I remember that one. So, yeah, a great game down at Wilton. It was a hard-fought game. Wilton obviously played a lot of younger players. They're going to have a really good team in a couple of years, but the Bears took care of business, I guess is the best way of saying it.
Started slowly. Yeah. First drive, no touchdown, and I think it was at the next 8 offensive drives they scored a touchdown. I think the math checks out on that too. The next 8 drives they scored. West Branch got up 54-0 before, 54-7, and they did it in different ways, and a couple cool things happened. Both the quarterback and the running back went over 1,000 yards, and if you look at Varsity Bound, the Varsity Bound stats, Andy, 1,079 rushing yards. Ty, 1,079 passing yards. That's pretty cool. And only one A team in the state of Iowa to have both of those, 1,000-yard rushing
and those are big milestones. We are used to here in West Branch, having 1,000-yard rushers and having 1,000-yard passers, but
8 games.
Yeah, and 8 games. That's the other thing. Usually they're doing it in 9 games. So, yeah, a good finish by the Bears. Puts them number 1 in their ranking here. So we get to play a number 4 team tomorrow night in South Hardin. The South Hardin Tigers. Where are they from?
Eldora, New Providence, and Hubbard Radcliffe decided, you know what, we're getting smaller. Let's come together. We'll make a school, call it South Hardin County. Mm-hmm. They kept the Tigers name from Eldora, New Providence, who West Branch has played once up at the Dome in 2003, and their head coach Randy Jaden and Dustin Baum, the running back, they had their way with the Bears. It was tough. 41-7, I believe, was the final on that one. They went on to win the state championship that year in 2003. But other than that, these two teams, as far as South Hardin, they've never played.
So, when you're planning on this, you obviously got to play in one game at a time. Yeah. And you really won't know much until after the first round of playoffs when we get to see what Regina did down at Pella or what Durant's going to do up at MFL. So, all our teams are going to different districts. But it will give us some idea of the competition that we've played going into other districts.
Well, you'd like to think, if you go by the rankings, by the computer rankings, they think that District 5 was the toughest district in the state of Iowa. One of them even says Regina and Durant have the number 1 and 2 strength of schedule in the state of Iowa, Class 1A. So that tells you that West Branch played a pretty tough schedule as well. Yeah. And South Hardin, don't look at their 3-5 record, Mike. No. They have an interesting stat line where they've run 100 more, they've had 100 more rushing plays than passing plays, but they have more passing yards than running yards. Josh Vanderwilt's thrown for 1330-something, and the majority of them, half of the yards have gone to a guy named Josh Walters. 55 receptions in 8 games. Yeah. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that is. And, we've run into big receivers before, whether it was from Pella Christian or whether it was from Regina, and you're just in awe of those guys that catch that. And the one thing to the Bears' advantage is they spread it out. We got 5 guys that can catch the ball on any down, so you never know where they're going to.
It's a little tougher to game plan it, yeah.
Yeah. But the other thing I like about this matchup is the kid with the 55 receptions. I'll put my money on Cale Seidel, Holden Arneman, and Evan Striegel anytime. They're lockdown corners.
Yeah, and they're certainly going to get tested because, again, this kid is completed. He's 55 passes to one guy, and then I think the next most receptions is not even 20. So if there is in doubt, he's going to throw it to him.
And the other thing is, the Bears' offense seems to be clicking. Like you said, we hit 2 milestones with Henson and Hughes going over 1,000. But you see Schutte, you see the Belk brothers, you see Andy Henson. We just have a lot of weapons that Coach Hirschman can turn to.
And he's also flipping over to Coach Bailey's defense.
Yeah.
We've got to talk a little bit about that team. Has only given up, West Branch's defense has only given up 8.25 points per game. Defensively, it's less because if you can take away a return from Mediapolis by Anthony Isley, take away those 7 points, and it's even lower for a defense. Got to take away the announcer's call on that one too. But to only give up eight points a game in 8 games, they're doing quite well also.
Yeah. So it is a gorgeous night. It's going to be a gorgeous night, Bear fans, tomorrow night. Game kicks off at 7. Bears will be on. Bearcast will be going at 6:30 thanks to Stephen Grace and Main Street Suites. This is Mike Quinlan and Jason Miller saying, Go Bears.